Welcome to Whispers of Power's Chosen Souls. Many people believe life is supposed to reach its peak in their 20s. They are told that if they do not figure it all out early, they are already behind. But the truth is different, especially for someone who is chosen. For you, life often does not truly begin until your 30s or 40s. Those years before were not a waste of time. They were the furnace that shaped you into someone who can handle the weight of purpose. Your 20s may have felt chaotic. You made mistakes, trusted the wrong people, chased the wrong dreams, and endured heartbreaks that left you questioning yourself. At the time, it felt like failure. What you did not see was the preparation happening beneath the surface. Every collapse was secretly teaching you endurance. Every betrayal sharpened your vision. Every loss cleared away what could not stay with you on the next stage of your journey. By the time you step into your 30s and 40s, you are not the same. You have a depth that only comes from living. You no longer crave everything at once. You want what matters. You are not easily fooled by appearances, because you have seen masks fall. You do not chase empty approval, because you have already survived without it. This is why your life begins here. Not because you are late, but because you are finally ready. You are carrying wisdom, strength, and clarity that your younger self did not yet possess. Let's get started. Number 1. Your 20s were survival training. Your 20s were not designed to be perfect years. They were survival training. Many people imagine that their 20s should be the season of success, freedom, and everything falling into place. The reality is very different, especially for someone who is chosen. Those years often look messy, unstable, and unpredictable. You stumble more than you stand. You take risks that fail. You trust people who turn around and hurt you. You chase dreams that collapse in front of you. It is not because you were doing life wrong. It is because those years were not meant to look pretty. They were meant to scar you into wisdom. Think about it. Every heartbreak taught you to recognize what love is not. Every financial struggle taught you how to survive when resources are scarce. Every friendship that turned sour sharpened your ability to see people for who they really are. Picture a soldier in training. The exercises are exhausting, the environment is harsh, and mistakes are punished quickly. It feels brutal in the moment, but later that same soldier becomes unshakable in the field. That is exactly what your 20s were doing to you. The scars you picked up were not marks of failure. They were secret tools being forged inside you. Now when you enter your 30s and 40s, you carry eyes that can see beyond the surface. You carry a backbone that does not bend easily. You carry instincts that keep you away from traps. While others are still learning the hard way, you are already equipped because you survived your training. So if you look back and see chaos, do not despise it. Those scars are the reason you now have wisdom that cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. Number 2. You've seen enough death of dreams to respect life. By the time you reach your 30s and 40s, you have seen enough death of dreams to understand the weight of life differently. Plans you once thought were certain have fallen apart. People you trusted have walked away. Opportunities you prayed for slipped through your fingers. At first, each loss felt like a wound that would never heal. But over time, those losses reshaped you into someone very different from who you were before. You have learned that nothing in this world is guaranteed. Jobs vanish, relationships end, health can change overnight, and dreams you worked for years to build can collapse in a single moment. At first, this feels cruel, but slowly, it strips away the illusion that life owes you anything. You begin to respect life for what it truly is: fragile, unpredictable, and precious. Imagine this. In your 20s, losing an opportunity might have left you paralyzed, doubting yourself, and terrified to try again. Now, after so many endings, you move differently. You still dream, but you no longer cling. You still build, but you no longer panic when something breaks. This makes you dangerous in the best way possible, because you have stopped fearing loss. A person who no longer fears loss cannot be easily manipulated. They do not stay in places that dishonor them. They do not sell their soul for security. They do not allow fear to dictate their choices. You have learned to hold life loosely but live it fully. This shift is not about becoming cold or hardened. It is about becoming free. When you no longer fear losing, You also stop fearing starting over. You stop fearing standing alone. You stop fearing the unknown. That is why this stage of life is so powerful. You are not fragile anymore. You are dangerous, not because you harm others, but because you are no longer a prisoner to fear. Number 3. At 30 and 40, purpose pierces louder than desire. At 30 and 40, something shifts inside you that is hard to ignore. Purpose begins to speak louder than desire. In your earlier years, you probably wanted everything at once. A new job, a bigger income, the latest clothes, attention from people, approval from family, and even the thrill of chasing things just because others had them. Desire ruled your decisions. It felt exciting in the moment, but often left you empty afterward. By the time you step into your 30s and 40s, that restless chase begins to fade. You realize you do not need everything. What you truly crave is what matters. It is no longer about collecting things to look successful. It is about building a life that feels true. Imagine this. In your 20s, you might have worked 3 jobs just to afford a lifestyle that looked impressive. Nights out, flashy purchases, endless scrolling for the next big thing. But in your 30s, you start asking yourself deeper questions. Does this actually add value to my life? Does this bring me peace? Does this help me grow into who I was meant to be? Suddenly, what once felt urgent now feels shallow. This is the piercing voice of purpose. It cuts through the noise of desires that never end. It reminds you that time is precious and that scattering your energy everywhere only leaves you drained. When purpose takes the front seat, your choices become sharper. You choose quality over quantity. You choose meaningful connections over shallow attention. You choose work that aligns with your spirit instead of just filling your bank account. At 30 and 40, you stop wanting everything. You begin wanting only what truly matters. And when you reach this point, your life starts carrying a depth and focus that no amount of surface-level desire could ever give. Number 4. You finally see through illusions. One of the most surprising shifts that happens when you step into your 30s is how your eyes begin to sharpen. You finally see through illusions. In your younger years, it was easy to believe what people showed you on the surface. A smile could convince you. A few kind words could win your trust. A little attention could make you feel safe. But by the time you hit 30, you realize that masks are everywhere, and not everyone is who they appear to be. You start to notice the small things that others miss. A person says the right words, but their tone carries impatience or envy. Someone pretends to celebrate your success, but their silence lingers longer than their applause. Even in casual conversations, you can feel the weight of someone's energy. It becomes clear when their spirit does not match their actions. Picture this. In your 20s, you might have had a friend who always claimed to support you. But when you were struggling, they were suddenly unavailable. At the time, you excused it and told yourself they were busy. By your 30s, you no longer buy that story. You can tell the difference between someone who is truly with you and someone who only wants to stand beside you when it benefits them. This is not about becoming bitter or suspicious. It is about becoming aware. When the illusions fade, you stop wasting time on people who drain you and start giving energy to those who are real. This awareness saves you from unnecessary heartbreaks, false promises, and shallow relationships. By 30, your vision is no longer clouded. You see truth in tone, silence, and energy, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That is when life becomes clearer, because you no longer fall for the performance. You respond to reality. Number 5. Your body and spirit realign. As you enter your 30s and 40s, something begins to shift inside you that goes beyond the physical. Your body and spirit start to realign. The changes you feel are not about youth anymore. They are about endurance. You are no longer being prepared to sprint. You are being equipped to carry weight that others cannot. When you were younger, your energy often scattered in every direction. You could stay up late, wake up early, jump from one plan to another, and still have the stamina to keep going. But much of that was empty motion, running without true direction. Now your energy has a different purpose. You may not move as wildly as before, but the strength you carry is deeper, steadier, and more intentional. Think of it like training for a marathon instead of a short race. In your 20s, you ran fast but often burned out quickly. By your 30s and 40s, your steps may look slower from the outside, but you can go much further because your body and spirit have been rewired to last. Here is a scenario. Someone in their 20s may chase every opportunity, saying yes to everything until they collapse from exhaustion. You, however, have learned the power of saying no. You conserve energy for the battles that matter most. You can carry responsibilities that would crush a younger version of you, because your spirit has been strengthened by experience, and your body has adapted to endurance. This realignment is not weakness, it is refinement. It means you are no longer built for small games. You are built for lasting impact. And while others may stumble under the weight of pressure, you discover you can stand firm. Your body and spirit are no longer fighting each other. They are working together, preparing you to hold more, handle more, and become more. That is why this stage of life feels different. You are not running out of strength. You are stepping into the strength that was always meant to carry you further. Number 6. You stop confusing love with attachment. One of the hardest lessons you learn on your journey is the difference between love and attachment. Most people pay the price for that lesson in their 20s. In those early years, it is easy to mistake the two because both feel strong, both demand your time, and both stir your emotions. But they are not the same. Attachment often disguises itself as love. It makes you cling to someone simply because they fill a void, not because they bring growth. It makes you afraid of losing them, even when they mistreat you. It convinces you that their presence is necessary for your happiness, even when deep down you know you are being drained. By the time you enter your 30s, you look back and see how many times you were attached, not loved. Think of that relationship where you stayed long after it was dead. You told yourself it was love, but it was really fear. Fear of starting over, fear of being alone, fear of admitting you deserved more. That fear was attachment wearing the mask of love. Love, on the other hand, does not cage you. Real love gives you peace instead of anxiety. It respects your growth instead of stunting it. It is not afraid of space or change, because love is not possession. By 30, you finally recognize the difference. You no longer chase what only ties you down. You no longer settle for someone who demands your presence, but does not honor your heart. This shift is powerful because it frees you. It allows you to stop confusing comfort with care and fear with devotion. You begin to seek relationships that feel nourishing, not suffocating. And when you do find love, you can tell it apart from attachment instantly, because your spirit recognizes the peace it carries. By 30, you stop clinging out of fear. You start choosing out of clarity, and that makes all the difference. Number 7. Your enemies have already revealed themselves. By the time you reach your 30s and 40s, something becomes very clear. Your enemies have already revealed themselves. The people who wished you well but secretly envied you have shown their hand. The ones who smiled in your face but whispered behind your back have already slipped. The ones who could not stand your light made sure to let their shadows touch you. Time has already exposed them, and now you carry something powerful knowledge. In your 20s, you fought blindly. You gave trust freely, and when betrayal came, you were caught off guard. You assumed everyone had the same heart you did. You prayed and hoped for the best, without realizing that some people were silently rooting for your downfall. That season was painful, but it was also your training ground. Picture this. You once shared your dreams with someone you thought was safe. Instead of support, they discouraged you, belittled your ideas, or even tried to copy and outshine you. At the time, it felt like a knife in the back. But now, you recognize that moment for what it was, a mask falling. By your 30s, you no longer walk with blind faith in everyone's intentions. You still believe in good, but you are not naive. You know who claps for you and who claps against you. That awareness is your armor. Now you fight differently. You do not waste time proving yourself to those who doubt you. You do not hand out trust like candy. You guard your energy and move strategically. This does not mean you live in fear. It means you live with clarity. You know exactly where the arrows will come from, and that makes you unshakable. Your enemies revealed themselves early, and that revelation became your advantage. Now, You no longer fight with blind faith. You fight with knowledge, and that makes every move you take stronger, sharper, and wiser. Number 8. You've already been underestimated. By the time you reach your 30s or 40s, you have already lived through years of being underestimated. People wrote you off. They assumed you would never rise above your struggles. They looked at your setbacks and decided you had no future. They may have laughed at your small beginnings, ignored your voice, or dismissed your presence. At the time, it hurt. You may have even believed their judgment for a while. But what they did not know is that being underestimated quietly became your advantage. When people overlook you, they do not expect much from you. That gives you room to grow in silence. While others are busy showing off and proving themselves, you are sharpening your skills in the background. You are gathering strength without anyone noticing. You are learning lessons that no one else is paying attention to. Imagine this. A seed is buried deep in the soil. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. People walk over it, ignore it, and forget it is even there. But beneath the ground, roots are spreading, strength is building, and something powerful is preparing to break through. That is exactly what happens to someone who has been underestimated. Now, when you rise, it catches everyone off guard. The same people who overlooked you will be shocked because they never saw it coming. And that shock is your power. You do not need to announce yourself. Your results will speak louder than any defense you could make. Being underestimated was not your downfall. It was your cover. It allowed you to grow without distraction, to fail in private, and to prepare in ways your doubters will never understand. Now, when you step forward, you carry the element of surprise, and that makes you unstoppable. Number 9. Your pain has sharpened your perception. Your pain has sharpened your perception. The very suffering that once made you question if you would ever recover has become the reason you see life differently now. Without those heavy seasons, you would not have the radar you carry today. Pain has a way of teaching you things that comfort never could. Think about it. When you were hurt deeply, you learned to pay attention to details that others overlook. You began to hear more than words when people spoke. You noticed hesitation, hidden motives, and even the weight behind a casual laugh. That is not something a textbook can teach. That is wisdom born out of wounds. Picture a moment when you trusted someone fully in your 20s. Maybe it was a friend, a partner, or even a mentor. They broke that trust, and the pain was unbearable. At the time, you thought it was only loss. But now, years later, you recognize how that experience reshaped your instincts. You no longer ignore red flags. You no longer confuse charm with character. Your spirit can sense dishonesty long before your mind can explain it. This perception is a gift. Even though it came wrapped in suffering, it protects you from traps. It saves you from repeating the same mistakes. It gives you the strength to walk away from what does not feel right, even when there is no evidence yet. The truth is, pain cleaned your lens. Where others still live blindly, you see clearly. Where others fall for appearances, you can detect the truth behind the mask. And while you may still carry the memory of what you went through, you also carry the sharpened vision it left you with. Pain did not just break you. It rebuilt you into someone who sees further, hears deeper, and knows better. That is why your perception now feels like a radar. It came from survival, and it will guide you toward what is real. In final words, stepping into your 30s and 40s does not mean you are late. It means you are right on schedule. The years before now were not wasted time. They were the groundwork, the silent shaping, the long nights and hidden struggles that built the version of you who can finally carry what life is placing in your hands. If you look back, you will see that the storms you thought would drown you only taught you how to swim. The disappointments you thought would break you only stretched your endurance. The people who walked away only cleared space for those who are meant to stay. None of it was random. Every moment was part of the preparation. This is why the life of a chosen one begins at 30 or 40. You are no longer running on borrowed strength or chasing someone else's idea of success. You are walking with clarity, with scars that turned into wisdom, and with a spirit that knows how to endure. So do not regret the years behind you. Respect them. They built you. And now, with everything you have learned, you are ready to live from a place of depth, focus, and truth. Your life has just begun.